This is my Tudor Black Bay 58. It was the first dive watch I ever owned. The first watch I owned with some beefier specifications, and it's the watch that really got me into the deep end of watches. I was dipping my toes in before. I had the Cartier Tank and an almost Tanganta, but this is the timepiece that made me think, maybe I'm a watch person now. I've had a complicated relationship with the Black Bay 58 these past few years, wondering if I should sell it or keep it. So this is a long-term review of having this watch, owning this watch, and what my future plans are with my Black Bay 58. If you're new here, hi, my name is Brittany, and this channel has really become a place where I've been documenting my watch collecting journey for the last three or so years. And moving from being someone who had a couple of watches, it was more of a passing interest, but I was wanting to learn more, to now, where I'm a lot deeper into it and still learning so much, and still at the beginning of my watch collecting journey. This video is my annual check-in with me and my complicated relationship with my Black Bay 58. So I got this watch coming on to 4 years now. My husband bought it for me back when it was first released in August 2020. And for a long time, 2 years, it was hands down my most worn watch. If you remember back, it was the height of the pandemic, everyone was working from home, watch brands weren't releasing their novelties, they were holding them back, keeping them, until we could all see each other again in person. When out of nowhere, Tudor dropped this watch, the blue variation of the Black Bay 58. It was this exciting release in a time where we were all stuck at home. It was the perfect watch for the perfect time. But now, as time goes by, I find myself wearing this less and less. I find myself choosing my Black Bay 54 as my daily wear far more regularly. And it makes so much more sense for me, but I can't bring myself to sell my Black Bay 58, even though I barely wear it. If you're not as familiar with the Black Bay 58, this is a really difficult watch to argue with in the specifications department. So it has a case size of 39mm, a thickness of 11.9mm, and a lug-to-lug of 47.5mm. It has some of the most universally loved measurements, working with a majority of wrist sizes. For example, this is how it looks on my 5.5-inch wrist, which is a smaller size wrist, compared to my husband's 7-inch wrist, which is a very average men's wrist size. It's a dive watch, so it has 200 meters of water resistance, more than 99% of people will ever need. And one of the big things with this model, one of the reasons why it was so exciting, is because it's fitted with the Tudor in-house caliber movement. So the COSC certified MT5402, giving you 70 hours of power reserve. After owning this for coming on to 4 years now, I think it's held up really well. In my head, I think it is far more scratched up than it actually is. There's a bit of scuff along the polished side, some scratches on the bracelet and clasp, but for how much it's been worn, and the things I've worn it for, this has held up really, really well. I've worn this surfing, wild camping, cycling, my daily comings and goings, and I think it's weathered really nicely. One thing I am really curious about is how the dial and bezel will age in patina. So this has an aluminium or aluminum bezel insert, which generally age and fade as time goes on and with exposure to sunlight. I find this discoloration desirable, but I know so many people don't, and that's one of the big benefits of ceramic bezels. But I can't wait to watch this age. I feel like we're kind of aging together. I don't like aging. All in all, as a watch, you really can't argue with this one. You can't argue with the functionality, the size, the wearing experience, especially at the price point of £3,450 or $4,000 US if you're buying new. You're getting a lot of watch. And there is those little nitpicks that every watch YouTuber like me complains about, the bracelet and clasp. But honestly, those are just little nitpicks. I really don't think the clasp has contributed that much in me not wearing this as much, or thinking about selling it on. For me, the number one reason why I think about selling this watch is because I just don't wear it as much anymore. I've started keeping this separate watch roll of the watches I don't wear enough, and I keep telling myself, if you don't wear these, Brit, you should really just sell them on. Free them up for someone who would love this watch and actually wear it. But my heart just can't do it. I'm gonna say it's because I'm too sentimental, not because I'm a hoarder. Although sentimentality and hoarding kind of... Yeah, I'm a hoarder. I'm just someone who holds on, and I still see value in this watch beyond wrist time. if that makes sense. For a lot of collectors and watch lovers, these are items that are infused with meaning. Like, this watch, for me, is so much more than the sum of its parts, and it matters to me more than how often I wear it. It's the watch that properly got me into watches. It was such a big milestone piece for me. It was my first diver, and my first watch with some pretty beefy specifications. I just remember how proud I felt to own this, how proud I was to wear this, and it means something to me. I think this is why it's so important to do more long-term reviews, because our relationship with certain watches change and evolve as we change and evolve. I'm gonna sound like such a wanker right now, and hear me out. Please don't unsubscribe. I know I'm gonna sound stupid right now, but it's kind of like all things. All relationships change and morph over time. Your relationship with your significant other began all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and obsessed with each other, new love, and then it changes and morphs over time. Not that it gets worse. I'm not saying that. It evolves and deepens in a beautiful way. Or your relationship with friends. Some friends are short-term or not as deep friendships, maybe situational friendships. And other friendships are lifelong. I feel like I sound so stupid right now. I understand that there's a difference between real life relationships and watches. It sounds like I don't have friends right now and just hang out with watches. What I'm trying to say is I think when we spend a long-term amount of time with a certain watch in our collection, we're not always going to be in the honeymoon phase. We're not always going to be wearing it every single day and be the most excited about it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sell it on. Sometimes it's worth keeping a watch because of the meaning it has for you, the memories you've made with it, and maybe even passing it along to someone one day. This is a watch I won't sell because I still think it's worth owning, if that makes sense. And I could very much see myself falling in love with it again. I'm going to get some more straps for it this summer, wear it a lot this summer. It is more of a summer watch. I could very much see myself falling back in love with this. For me, as well, I could very much see myself becoming a Tudor collector, and this is one I want to have in that collection. Being the sole owner until I pass it along to probably a family member one day. I think different people have different collecting philosophies, and none are right or wrong. People are just different. I have a lot of watch friends who see a lot of pieces go in and out. They're always swapping this one in, swapping this one out, new things coming in. That one has to go to fund that one. They keep some pieces, but most pieces are, in for a year or two, then out again, and something new comes in. And that's great. Live your life, go for it. But that just isn't me. Every piece I buy is intentional and measured. I've thought about it for a long time. I've stewed on it for a long time. And I'm collecting for the long run. It's almost never impulsive. It's been years of me thinking and saving. I collect specific and intentional things, and I'm someone who holds on. And that is why I ultimately cannot see myself selling my Black Bay 58. Not right now, at least. There might be a time where it does leave my collection, but it won't be because I sold it. I will have passed it along to my nephew or a family member, or passed it along, but I can't see that happening anytime soon. I don't know. Does anyone care? Who's made it to this point of the video? I'd love to know in those comments down below, what kind of collector are you? Do you see lots of pieces come in, go out, you're funding the next one? Or are you someone a bit more like me and you hold on to things for a long time? I'd love to know your philosophy of collecting, and I'd love to know your Black Bay 58. What is your watch that maybe you don't wear the most, but you will never sell on? Let me know. I can't wait to read those comments. This video was also really inspired from listening to a podcast that my two best friends run, my two best watch friends, and just like normal life friends run, Vu and Lydia. They have a podcast called This Watch Life, and the episode was Why I Love My Tudor Black Bay 58. It filled me with all kinds of emotions. It reminded me why I love my Black Bay 58 so much. So this video is just an outpouring of that. If you haven't listened to This Watch Life yet, I highly recommend you go give it a listen. They post daily, and they're just like little 20-minute episodes. You can listen on your way to work, doing the dishes, whatever. I love it. It's a daily part of my life, so go check them out. Not sponsored, but Vu and Lydia, it could be. And let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. Okay guys, my camera's about to die because I was talking too long in this video. We're gonna do this short, sweet, quick, let's go. These names on the screen, you see them? They're the Pope tier patrons. They are single-handedly the greatest people ever, who ever lived. They've never made a mistake ever. In fact, no Gringa patrons, no one who's on Gringa Patreon has done anything wrong ever. Thank you so much for supporting my weird little channel. I love making these videos. I'm glad you guys love them. And thank you so much for supporting my work. You're the best, guys.